Hello and welcome. I'm Patrick Curtis, Chief Monkey of Wall Street Oasis, and this is Monkey to Millions, a show where you get a front row seat as I mentor young students and professionals to try and help them break into their dream jobs. In the first cohort, you'll meet 4 students, all preparing for intense job interviews while trying to also balance a personal life and schoolwork. The goal of this show is to shine a light on the struggles of trying to break into competitive positions with a non-traditional background and to give you a roadmap for your own success. My hope is that as you get to know these 4 impressive students, you are inspired to dream big. Remember, these are real people and this is their true story. Let's get to it. In this session, Victor shares some big news and when he'll be starting his new job. We then talk about how to position himself for a path to private equity, and I give him a dose of reality. From there, we discuss a plan for passing his series exams and carving out time to invest in himself daily. Enjoy. Okay, Victor, offline some interesting updates, but let's dive into the career-oriented stuff. And yeah, give me an update. I know you just got back from a little mini vacation, well deserved after working crazy hours for many months.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about what's going on. Fidelity is starting when?
Fidelity starts next Monday, this upcoming Monday.
Awesome. Okay.
They told me that I think I was on the phone with one of the welcoming team members. They told me that I think because of this Delta version, they are kind of putting on hold going back to office. It's going to be working from home, 8 to 5.
Okay.
For the first few months, they're going to basically train us how to kind of take the test and, get those licenses, license 7 and 63 and whatnot. So till December, I think I'm not going to see office at all. If I do, maybe it's just one day just to go kind of sign up papers.
Yeah. Have you taken the SIE yet?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Not yet.
That might be something you can start actually training on if you want. There's a SIE on WSO. There's an SIE kind of course. Well, we promote it. It's not our course. It's
SIE.
Yeah, it's a SIE is kind of like the base exam you need to take before you take the 7 and all the others now.
Okay.
So that actually you don't need a sponsor or anything. Anybody can take the SIE.
Oh yeah, what does SIE stand for? Is that
it's like Securities and Information Exchange something. It's
Okay.
basically like the Series 7, 66, but it's like the base one that you need to pass before you can take the others. I think that the other ones are called like top off exams.
Yeah, something like that.
So I think they'll probably have you take the SIE anyways and probably go through this training. So it might be something, I don't know, if you want to like just take care of it so you don't have to worry about it. You can just focus on studying for the 7 and the 66 when you start.
So what they have asked me, first week's going to be kind of orientation. What they've asked me kind of come up with a plan, how long it should take me to kind of, take the exam, the series and everything. My plan is to kind of get it done within the 90 days, at least the 67, because that's all I'm going to do. I am kind of putting everything on hold and this is the only job. I might do Uber weekends just in case, if I need like some extra cash. But I want to make sure that I get this out of the way so that I can kind of come back and fully focus on, getting the courses with the WSO courses and kind of, planning.
I would get the SIE out of the way as fast as possible. I don't think it's hard.
Yeah.
I think it's something you could study for like a couple of weeks if you were focused on it.
I'm going to try to do 2 weeks, like 2 weeks, about like 50 hours each week.
Yeah, I think you'll be good. You'll have to dig into it. I don't know the SIE very well. I've never taken it, but just based on what I've read, I don't think it's that crazy. I think it gets a little harder when you're doing the top off exams. You got to study a little bit more, but some are more just like memorization of facts and stuff like that. A lot of it's just.
They told me that as long as you have a plan and we know what you're doing, they give you all the way till like a December-ish, something like that. I'm like, I'm going to try to get this done as soon as possible so that I can start to kind of understand what my job requires, the scope of daily, like a what to-do list. So I can put in that 20 hours extra kind of, focusing on that career-related stuff for WSO.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's what the whole plan was. Remember,
that was the plan. That's been the plan.
Yes, that was been training me. Like get one job and do 50 hours that you can spend extra 20, 25 hours. Like if you added whole year, that is what, like 300, 400, 500 hours. I can't finish every course that you throw at me.
You can
Every
do all the
class.
courses, but yeah, more importantly, you
Yes,
can do more meet more
networking.
people, figure out
Exactly.
exactly what you want, that type of stuff while you're not drowning doing 3 jobs.
Yes, and one more thing, I really want to go back to California. I love surfing
Love
so
it.
much.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god, I want to be back here. I know everyone is complaining it's expensive, it's not run well. I get it, but I'll take the weather and ocean like anytime.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, it's
awesome.
fair. Right now we have a little bit of smoke here, so I'm like, it gets me nervous when
New
it's
York
fire
City,
season.
New York
No,
City.
yeah, near Saratoga, near
Okay.
yeah, and it's near San Jose. They were have a little bit of smoke up near the ridges starting to come down, and I'm like, oh no, here we go again. Last August we were stuck inside for like a
I
month. It was
I
bad.
remember. I remember. I remember. I didn't know that you were based in San Jose. San Jose, California, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, so
I'm in a small town right next to Cupertino in San Jose. It's called
I see.
yeah, Saratoga. It's like
For some reason, I always thought of you like you're based out of New York, but because you worked in New York, you
yeah,
based
yeah,
out
yeah.
of
I
New
was in New
York.
York for about 5, 6 years, so
Yes,
and
I
then
see.
Philly a couple of years. Yeah. So what I'll
Nice.
do is okay, so that's good. So you're starting soon. So like start
Yes,
date
yes.
is are you
So go.
excited? Are you nervous? Do you feel like I think it'll be pretty streamlined.
Yeah, very streamlined. This is what I like about this because at least till you pass the test and everything, it
Mhm.
is like step by step process. Like it's logical. You gotta get the test. You gotta study this many hours. And everything from home. And I went to school 4 years. I hope I have that skill down. How to prep for the exams and pass them. I hope I
Yep.
got that part down. But this is streamlined. Goldman finished around like July 25th. And
Mhm.
then after that, since I'm in the military as a reservist, I had to kind of squeeze into like the 2 weeks of like annual training
Mhm.
here in Salt Lake City. But next year I'm gonna have to go to Hawaii. I don't
Okay.
have to go to Hawaii.
Have to
They're
go to
forcing
Hawaii.
me.
So
They're
bad.
forcing me so bad. I don't know what to say. But I guess it's something I have to do, to just go to
Yeah.
Hawaii. So they allow me to do that annual training here. I finished that and I'm like, okay, most likely they won't. They didn't say anything, but they highly suggested, and I'm reading kind of between the lines here, that it would be great if I don't take any kind of vacation days till like next year.
Mhm.
So I guess like this is the only opportunity I will have, like a couple of weeks just doing nothing. I've been working, crazy.
Yeah. No, it's a good idea. Yeah, take a break now and then push through the end of the year.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah.
And then yeah, I think it'll be good. I think the good part about the training, yeah, I think 90 days is a pretty good target to try and pass all those exams. And then
Yeah.
do you get any sense of like what the day-to-day is going to be like to help after you're done with the exams?
So I talked to the guy who actually like through your help, like found on the LinkedIn and everything. He
Mhm.
moved on to bigger and better things, a new company and everything. He told me that you shadow basically, and you
Mhm.
have this like certain clients that the firm already has.
Mhm.
You basically shadow the people who serving their needs, when they call for the stocks or
Yep.
bonds or whatever their portfolio is doing. You basically shadow them. So you have this like a set of answers. Of course, it's not going to be robotic, but you got to kind of be able to kind of put them at ease and tell them how their portfolio doing and all that stuff. After a little while, they push you to do some more kind of cold calls, to people, and you kind
Mhm.
of reach out, offering the firm services and stuff like that. But
Yep.
he said within 6 months you'll understand the basics of it, like what it is that you're required to do. And they offer a lot of uh, extra hours post 40. So they told me 50 is kind of suggested, but if you want to work like 55 and stuff like that, they
Hmm.
were more than happy to do that.
Cool. So they're
Yeah.
paying you a salary, but they'll pay a bonus based on hours
Yes.
more,
Yeah.
more hours.
It's once you start, they pay your base salary, but they also pay you bonus. On top of that, you have like a extra hour. Like I think it's like a
Over
50. Yeah, overtime.
overtime.
Overtime. Yeah, $42, $43, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
I was
great.
like, okay, that's great. Yeah.
That's
I'm not gonna
awesome.
complain about that. Working 3 hours, I had 3 jobs. I barely, pushed through it together. It was $30 for 3 jobs.
Yeah.
So I'm okay.
That's great.
I'm
That's
happy.
great. No, I think you're going to be great at this. I think it's a smart move because it's getting some financial stability going, and then it's going to allow you to kind of broaden your horizons, sharpen
Exactly.
your toolkit, your tool set, and then start networking and trying to figure out the right kind of next step, even if it's somewhat entry level in a different track.
Remember, you asked me what is it that you want to do in the long term, and I know everyone comes at you with the same thing. I don't want to be that starry-eyed like 22-year-old kid, but I really want to kind of, if I can, break into private equity like down the line.
Mhm.
But I know it's going to require an MBA. I checked my GI Bill. I still have about 14, 15 months. That is as a like a saved up that I haven't spent. So I was looking into like a Berkeley. They have a kind of night program. I was looking at
Yeah,
Stanford.
the one thing I'll warn you and be careful about saying, "Oh, I know I need an MBA to break into private equity." I'll say even with an MBA, it's almost impossible without pre-MBA experience in private equity.
Without MBA, it's not possible.
No, I'm saying without private equity experience prior to your MBA, it is incredibly difficult.
Oh, I see. Even
So
though
the MBA is not the ticket to private equity. The MBA is the ticket to investment banking. If you want to get there, that's very common, especially out of a Berkeley or a top school like that. There's a lot of career switchers that end up as associates in investment banking. And then from there, private equity, but it's harder once you're already an associate in banking. That's why a lot of people will do investment banking analysts for 2 years and then go to private equity as an pre-MBA associate and then MBA, and then they try to get back in. But even the people who are pre-MBA associates in private equity, when they're coming out of the top business schools, they have to fight and claw to get the post-MBA private equity seats.
I see.
Even them, not the people who are coming in from a Fidelity, maybe do banking for a year or two, and then you go do an MBA to Berkeley. It's going to be, I'm not going to say impossible, but almost impossible to land. I'm talking at like a fund that's like a real fund, not a search fund where you're like, oh, I'm going to do my own business and I'm searching I'm raising my own fund. I'm talking an established fund that's, has 100 million plus of AUM where they can actually pay you a salary.
Oh, I see.
Like, yeah, you could find some guy who's raising a fund who has like $20 million raised, but what are his fees off of that? He's only making like $40,000 fees. So it's all just, he's only just paying himself like barely anything.
I see.
Just to do that. So like you need several $100 million to support any sort of staff.
I see.
And so like to get to that range where you're 500 million plus, $1 billion plus, like a true established private equity fund, you usually need to have some sort of private equity experience prior.
Okay. Now I'm kind of putting the cart before the horse here.
Yeah, I mean it's okay. It's okay. I think a lot of people are interested in private equity. And for good reason. It's super interesting work. You get to meet CEOs, see leadership of companies, help portfolio companies. You're looking at a lot of new interesting businesses and deals. I think there's a lot of reason people like it, but it may, the pay's extraordinarily great there as well. I would say I'd say investment banking now. Have you seen the base salary increases?
Yeah, I looked at it. It was crazy. 100 plus the bonus and everything.
120.
120.
No. Base salary.
It's 120. I know. 120 plus the bonus. Like it's like 180 or something like that.
Yeah. Easily for a first year out of school.
Patrick, so what do you think? That should then push for at least then just to doable the investment banking instead of private equity. Would that do? Just I know.
But I think I think once you get the MBA, you almost date yourself. I know you're already older.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to share that. You're already a non-traditional candidate. But
nobody asked me. Nobody asked me about that.
Yeah, nobody asked you. So but my point is, once you have an MBA, you get stamped as a more senior person.
I see.
And so like when you go there, you want to go there with like a clear defined path of what you want out of it and what job you want out of it coming in. You don't want to be like, I'm going to go to the MBA and figure it out. No, because recruiting starts right away.
Yes.
Even if hey, I want to go investment banking. So like what I would tell you,
yes,
if you think investment banking is potentially going to open a lot of doors to you, and I would say, hey, guess what? It does. Whether it's corporate development, corporate finance, I would say, why don't you work toward that pre-MBA, getting like going for like a middle market shop, like a Houlihan or a Rothschild or a Lazard or any of these things that are super competitive, but that are having trouble. They're having trouble hanging on to kids.
Yeah.
They're all quitting left and right because they don't want to work 100-hour weeks. Nobody wants to work 100-hour weeks.
But right now I'm okay with that. I was working pretty much as much.
You're working what, 80-ish, right?
92.
92. So you're working 92-hour weeks. Yeah, so you add on that with the pressure of people screaming at you and the high stakes of the thing.
I was in the military. I guess I can't take something.
You're used to it. So, but like, my point is like, what you'll have to convince these people is they're going to see all of your history. They're going to kind of get a sense of like, whoa, okay, you're non-traditional, but are you like, okay, are you 28 or are you like 35?
I see.
Because then they're going to get nervous. If you're super super old, like old compared to the 22, 23-year-old, they're going to be like, I don't know where to put you. Like, I can't make you a senior analyst because you don't have the modeling skills. I can't make you an associate because you don't have an MBA. You've never done banking. So like, what am I supposed to do? Put you in as an analyst one when you're that old? Like, so that's going to be the challenge there. But I can tell you, I don't think it's impossible. I just think it's one of those things where it's number one about developing the right skill set, making sure you're amazing at the interviews, and then just networking like crazy and be like, hey, look, I had a late start because I was an immigrant. I came over here, blah, blah, blah. And I graduated Georgetown when I was much older. That doesn't mean that I'm not interested in this. You know, the benefits are I'm used to long hours. I'm used to, very intense work environments. I'm used to, to grinding, and this is what I've done to improve myself, and I'm ready. And so the question is like working the 50-hour weeks with fidelity. Like if you want to get to private equity, it's not an easy path, right? Like you could do it, but it's probably going to come at the need for you to go through banking first.
I see. Which is why like one of this,
which is hard, man.
Harder. I see. So this
like it's one thing for you to say, hey, I did 90-hour weeks. It's another thing to actually work 110-hour weeks. So the 90 to 110, those additional 20 hours is extraordinarily painful, because the incremental, every additional hour over 80, 90, 85, 90, 95, each additional increment of 5 hours is that much more painful because it's so much more precious in terms of sleep.
Working out, eating right. And
working out, forget working out. Like, yeah, just even eating right. Yeah, like having any life.
Yeah.
And so, people compared to like the boot camp or like sleep deprivation and all that stuff, it really is, if you're at a shop that's actually doing a lot of deals, and unfortunately a lot of it is like that. And so, what I'll say is doing that for a couple of years or even just a year, and then making a smart lateral out, even if it's not to private equity, can open up a lot of doors.
I see. But you would highly suggest to do that first before.
If you're willing to suffer.
I mean, I guess at this point, what is suffering for me?
Well, no, but if you're willing to suffer for a long-term career, I mean, but like, if you like surfing and all that stuff, forget about all that stuff. You want a vacation for a year, forget about all that stuff. You just talked about 6 months working 80, 90 hours. Try a year of that. So it's like one thing to say it, it's another thing to actually live it. It actually really hurts.
I see. No, I have no doubt about that. It's just more of but it's a kind of price to pay, kind of,
it's a price to pay. It opens up a lot of doors, but it's not the only door, right? So like if you were to tell me, actually, I really am into real estate, or hey, I'm really into venture capital or growth equity, there's other paths. There's potentially a way you could get there. I'm not saying like, if you want private equity, I'm not saying don't go for it. I'm just saying don't go to the MBA thinking it's going to get you there.
It is more of like a kind of like bouncing the ideas, kind of trying to help you to kind of clear because my thought is very kind of muddy. I'm not, as you know, my like a age, the starting late and all that crazy stuff going on, my personal life, which I shared a lot. So I'm sorry that, I burdened you with all of that.
No, it's good. It gives me a better perspective of kind of where you're at and where your head's at and what you're dealing with. So my point is like with kids, especially. So imagine you get a job in SF or LA in investment banking. You're not going to see you're barely going to see your kids ever.
I see.
You're not in Salt Lake City working 90. You're like in LA or SF.
Yeah.
Working 90.
Yeah.
Or 100.
100, yeah.
And so like, could you do it for a year where you're sacrificing that, or in exchange for additional career flexibility and for that lateral? Yeah, you could do that. But it's not for everybody. There's a reason people leave at such high numbers. It's usually because number one, it's extremely painful and tough. It's not because the money's not good. The money's great. But it's just people can't actually physically continue. And number three, the opportunities are suddenly being thrown at them of, hey, I want you to come join this startup as a vice president of finance, or I want you to come be the chairman or be the vice chairman to the CEO, helping him do these analytics, or I want you to do X, Y, and Z. There's just so many corporate development, M&A role, that type of stuff.
But I think for a year or two I can, because it's just not for me. It's also, like, as you know, like the kids, I gotta kind of make sure that if I got into this level when I came as an immigrant, I want to make sure that I kind of, I
Yeah,
guess
and if you're working to, this is the other thing. If you're willing to work hard, like let's say you're willing to do the 90-hour week senior, analyst, and but suddenly you find yourself you're in a good group that suddenly, maybe it's not in, an elite boutique doing a ton of things. Maybe it's at a slightly lower middle market investment bank, which can be a great career. It's like a regional boutique. Maybe they specialize in a specific niche and it's a little bit sleepier. You're doing like 5 to 10 deals a year. It's busy. It gets really busy sometimes, but then other times it's like 50, 60-hour weeks.
I see.
If you can get into that type of group and that type of firm and build it, like that could be a career track. You could move up analyst, associate, VP, and do really well.
So then let's just shoot for that thing.
Let's shoot for that. Shoot for that. I mean, well, at the very least, the skills you need for private equity, for whatever, you're going to have to develop all these financial modeling skills and the interview skills. Anyways, it doesn't matter. It's the same path.
Do you think I can find something like that in LA, San Francisco area?
Banking?
Like the middle group, that kind of the last years.
Yeah, not as much. There's more like elite boutiques and bulge brackets out there. There's not as much depth on the West Coast in terms of like number of small boutiques and middle market shops, but they exist. They're definitely there. It's not in New York. New York is for sure the biggest, and Boston's a pretty big market as well. But yeah, you can find it. You can find it. But once you, I would focus on the job you have now.
Yes,
make sure you do a good job.
Yes.
First things first. Have some stability there, and then we can start kind of hitting these sessions more like once a month.
Okay.
So I can push you in terms of being like, hey, did you carve out 10 hours this week, or what did you do?
Which is what I want to show you this. I mean, I've done it, but I want to show you this real fast.
Sure. Yeah. Show me.
So this August, I don't have anything here right now, but what I want to put it here, like
Yep.
5 things I want to do daily.
Yeah.
Workout, I have to work out or I will go crazy.
Yeah, that's good.
I just maybe 20, 25 minutes of reading, and I just read constantly to kind of keep myself, especially English is not my first language. The only way I can keep it fresh, I gotta keep reading.
No, that's good.
Number 3, and it's not number 3, it's not in that order. I want to do like daily 25 minutes of WSO, things. By my calculation, if I do 25 minutes Monday through Friday and maybe half an hour weekends, again, persistence is the key here.
Yeah.
I think within like 3 weeks, I can finish one course at a time, like Excel and stuff like that. And I can actually repeat that. So within 6 months, once I know what's going on with my daily schedule, I will tell, hey, Patrick, I finished everything you threw at me and I'm starting networking. So I have like kind of, 100 plus hours, your coursework. Now let's kind of start.
Let's start focusing less on the technical and the tactical stuff. Let's actually start executing.
Exactly. Yeah. Does that?
Yeah, I think that's a good plan. I think that's a good plan. It's just about starting though. Like, so, what I would say is, let's meet up again in 4 to 6 weeks to hear how things are going. And I mean, you're going to be studying for the exams. You're going to be able to set your own schedule.
Yes.
So I think you can start carving out half hour.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to try to do. No, definitely. Half hour is not a bad, it's not undoable, unreachable.
It's just a lot every day. Doing it every day is tough.
Yeah. Persistency is like, I think that's the key that you're going to stick to. That's all.
So any questions in terms of that? I mean, I sorry to throw a wrench in your like, oh, I'm going to go MBA, private equity. Like I've heard. I hear that
No. That's good because I'd rather actually somebody stop me, somebody who knows what they're talking about, because it's based on what I've been reading and stuff like that. You've been at the core of this for so many years.
Well, there are people who go to like a Berkeley MBA and then get into private equity, but I would challenge you to look at their profiles.
Yeah, absolutely. I will.
Yeah. Yeah. Look at their profiles and look at the people. I'd be very shocked if any more than like 1 or 2 didn't have pre-MBA.
Also, like private equity and any of these jobs, like ultimate, like a goal is to kind of earn enough money and enjoy the career that I'm enjoying. So maybe you will say that, hey, there's a startup, there's this middle market group, this is much better fit. I'm gonna take. It's not like you know what I mean. It's not.
Sometimes there's the path of like, let me go to an elite boutique, work 110 hours a week, kill myself, then jump to a mega fund, work another 110 hours a week for another 2 years, then go to HBS, then go back to it, and like at some point you're just like, you're all of your 20s and 30s are gone, and you're like, yeah, you have $3-4 million in the bank, but you're like, look like you're 70 years old.
Exactly. I don't want that.
You're divorced and like have like,
I don't want that either. I really don't want that. Especially with the kids, I need to kind of spend time, because later on they're not going to want to spend time with me. So this is the best time I have. So one last thing. Do you mind if we kind of schedule this thing a little bit differently? Because I was told that Monday through Friday, and I think we are given around 40 minutes break, because this isn't actually work. It's more of like a training session for the next 4 months. So I will come up with the hours and I'll let you know what hours do work, because I want to make sure that I'm not in the middle of a meeting or something like that.
Yeah. What time do you start usually?
Usually they said 8 to 5, 8 to 4:30, something like that.
So we could do occasionally like a 7:15 a.m.
Perfect. Thing. But that's a Salt Lake City time, so we're gonna have to make that.
Is this West Coast?
Yeah, it's mountainous. I think it's like an hour.
Hour earlier. Oh, that's gonna be tough.
Hour.
That's gonna be tough.
Yeah. So
maybe later in the day then, when you finish.
Yes, something like.
If you finish 5 o'clock. Do you finish
around
5 o'clock?
Yes. Yeah.
So around 4 o'clock my time. So yeah, that would work. 4:15 or something. Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. That's great. But I'll let you know. I'll come up with the hours and I'll let you know. So
okay. Perfect. So yeah, I think I think for you it's just really a question of, now that you're going to have a steady salary and all this stuff, it's just a question of setting that schedule. And I guess maybe that's gonna be your homework, is just getting back to me with a set schedule of what you're going to hit first.
Cool. Yeah, cool. I'm gonna kind of copy, and I'm not a copy paste, but I'm gonna take a picture of that and I send you the email.
Perfect.
These are my schedule, and this is what I'm doing daily. If you want to kind of give me like maybe pointers during the session or before, after session.
I'm just gonna say start, because like as long as you're doing it daily, it's gonna make a huge difference, no matter what you're doing.
Awesome.
Because it'll build fast, and then in 6 months, by the early next year, you'll be like, I've done all of this, I've done this. What I don't want is early next year be like, it's just been so busy, I've been driving Uber to earn some extra cash.
No more driving Uber, since I have like some kind of basic stability. So no more Uber. It's just I have like I can pay.
I rather you instead of making extra money on Ubers, invest in yourself, getting ready for this stuff.
I really didn't have any other options, so that's the only reason. So
cool, man.
All right, thank you so much.
Let's talk soon. Yeah, shoot me a message. Bye.
Absolutely.
And thanks to you, my listeners at Wall Street Oasis. If you have any suggestions whatsoever, please don't hesitate to send them my way, Patrick@wallstreetoasis.com. Until next time.